Good morning, all. I just want to give anyone an opportunity to jump on board. And yesterday was a lot of fun. I would say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I actually have people from Europe and also Asia that have made some comments, and that's very exciting. So to build upon yesterday, we talked a little bit about asking for help. So towards that end, I don't suppose there's anybody out there that's really proficient in using a Mac computer, because you see, I have not been able to figure out to change the settings so I can be on my computer for this Facebook Live. So I ended up being on my phone yet again, but I will get better at it, I promise you. So today's suggestion. Now I know none of you have this challenge, I'm positive, yet. There used to be a campaign years ago that went like this: friends don't let their friends drive drunk. And I know they thought people don't drive drunk, so we're taking care of our friends. In essence, we were saying we're not going to drive drunk either. So today's challenge is friends don't let their friends have listening challenges. Now, I know none of you have these challenges, so we're going to learn these for our friends. We're going to share these with anyone that we think would benefit, even if they don't have this listening challenge, because they may have friends that have listening challenges. So, you've all heard of the Pareto Principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients. It's funny, I told you, whatever I teach adults, I teach my children. I can't remember which child it was, overheard me talking about the Pareto Principle and then talked about the Plato Principle. I think the Plato Principle would be a lot more fun. But we're not going to talk about the Plato Principle today. We're not going to talk about the Pareto Principle today. We're going to talk about the principle of 70-30. So Zeno of Citium, whoever Zeno is, I'm not sure. He sounds kind of Roman, not sure where Citium is. Never really been there in my travels. But he said this: we had been given 2 ears and a single mouth, so we may listen more and talk less. Now, if we just adopted that principle, imagine how many people would benefit from that. So, it doesn't matter if you're in sales, if you're networking, if you're working as a social worker. It doesn't matter your position, if you're an administrator, office staff, it doesn't matter. In your professional or your personal life, imagine, if you will, if you listened 70% of the time and talked 30% of the time. I was recently in a business meeting, and I promise you, this person was probably 95-5. And I'm a pretty good talker. So for me to listen 95% of the time is quite a challenge. But you see, I could literally have lit myself on fire, and that person wouldn't even know that, because that person was so consumed with what that person had to say. So we often hear people say, so-and-so's got the gift of gab, or that person could sell ice cubes to an Eskimo. First of all, why would you sell ice cubes to an Eskimo? I don't really even know. We'll talk about that another time. But anyway, the gift of gab is not a good trait in sales. The gift of gab is not a good trait in networking. The gift of gab is certainly not a good trait when you're interviewing for businesses, for jobs and opportunities. That does not make sense. So, if we listen 70 and talk 30, and when we're talking, we're asking questions about the person we're talking with. Because let's face it, people don't care the type of clients you work with. People don't care about all these great increase in sales that you make for people. People only care about themselves when they're talking with you. They have 2 radio stations on in their heads at all times. Perhaps you listen to them as well. I do sometimes. One is called WIFM, What's in It for Me, or MMFIAM, Make Me Feel Important I Am. That's what people care about. So when you're conversing with people, and we talked about yesterday the importance of asking for help. When you're asking for help, they're going to be doing most of the talking because you're listening to their response. So if you just let them talk, you're going to learn a lot. I tell my clients, it's never the person that has the best presentation that gets the client. that gets the contract. It's always the person that asks the best questions. The only way you can ask the best questions is by listening to what's going on. So listen 70, talk 30. If you just did that, people would want to be around you more because they get to talk about themselves. And once again, that's what people like to do the most, is talk about themselves. So another tip besides 70-30, if you go to a networking event, this dovetails nicely with it. Go to a networking event and someone says, what do you do for a living? So I had nuns in high school and they always told me to be polite and let others go first. So I'm going to say, shout out to Sister ML, Sister Judith, Sister Catherine. Sister Catherine is actually on Facebook. Shout out to Sister Catherine. And anyone else from Bishop Fenwick High School in Peabody, Massachusetts, because they taught me a valuable skill. Let someone else go first. And so what does that mean? If someone at a networking event says, what do you do for a living? If I say, well, I sell homes. And you're like, well, I'm not looking to buy a home. Or, I'll give you my example. If someone says, what do you do for a living? And I go, well, I'm a management consultant. They're like, oh, well, I don't need that. I'm like, well, but I teach people how to sell. Well, I don't need that. Well, I work with business owners. I'm not a business owner. Well, I work with attorneys. I'm not an attorney. Well, I work with managers. I'm not a manager. By the time I get to what you do, I've said 9 things that I do that I lose all credibility whatsoever. So if someone says, Darren, what do you do for a living? I always say, I'm sure it's not as exciting as what you do. And people get excited about that. One time this guy said to me, you're right, I sell beef jerky. And I wanted to time it. How long could this man talk about the jerky? And I think he talked for about 35 minutes. A family recipe, it came over from Hawaii, what have you. It doesn't really matter. I let them talk. Why? Because I'm going to craft what I say based on what they do. So if he says I'm a business owner, at some point he's going to ask me what I do, and I'm going to say what I do based on what he does. And since I'm in sales and I teach people how to sell, I sometimes don't say anything. I'll say, how long have you been doing it? I ask a bunch of clarifying and qualifying questions. And at some point I'll say, that must be pretty easy for you to sell. And inevitably people say, no, that's the hardest thing I have to do is sell. And at some point I go, oh, well, then perhaps we should talk. Right? Let them talk first. If someone says, what do you do for a living? I'm sure it's not as exciting as what you do. Let them talk and talk and talk. And then you'll say, well, you probably can't think of anyone that's looking to buy a home, though, can you? Or what have you, whatever it is. Let them talk first. When they're doing the talking, they want to be around you more. Why? Because I'm going to give you my master's degree in 2 sentences. And I know my colleague Will Froyland was on here, and he can probably echo this at the Ohio State University. I apologize if I'm saying the, but I'm afraid they may take away my degree if I do not say the Ohio State University. Great experience, 2 years, made so many wonderful friends, and 2 sentences. People want to feel like they matter, and people want to feel like they belong. Create opportunities where people feel like they matter and they belong. They'll move mountains for you. How do I make people feel like they matter? I ask for help, which we talked about yesterday. How do I make people feel like they belong? I listen to what they say. And I think the Chinese draw 4 characters for listening. And my Chinese colleagues, if I'm wrong, please let me know. I think they draw the head, the heart, the ears, and undivided attention. So let me ask you, do you honestly say when I listen to people, I'm giving them my head, my heart, my undivided attention, and of course my ears? If we just simply did that, we would have much more opportunities in the networking arena. We'd get much more jobs. We'd have much better relationships. People would want to be around us a long time. But remember, we already know, none of you have these challenges. But we want to assist our friends, which is friends don't let their friends have listening challenges. So to summarize, 70-30, listen 70, talk 30. When you go to a networking event, let other people go first, right? My master's degree in 2 sentences. People want to feel like they matter. People want to feel like they belong. Create opportunities where people feel like they matter and they belong. They will literally move mountains for you, right? And so if you just did those, and if you listen again with your heart, your head, undivided attention, and your ears, people would want to be around you in anything that you want to do. whether it's business or personal, with your children. Imagine if you listen to your children with your head, your heart, undivided attention, and your ears. They would look at you like, wow, I really matter to you, Mom. I really matter to you, Dad. So that's the tip for today. Listening 70, Talk 30. If you like it, please share it with anyone that you know, because I think this is very beneficial. And it's so much fun being able to do this. This is day 2. Once again, I ask for help. If anybody understands the whole Mac stuff and how to get settings so I can use my computer, that would be great, because I feel like I'm the Statue of Liberty holding up this phone so I can talk through my phone. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a great day. I wish you great selling, great networking, great relationships, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. We're on at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll be on, that of course is noon Eastern time. I don't know what it is in Europe and Asia. I've done trainings in those countries, but you'll have to figure that out for yourself, because I did not learn that. And once again, shout out to all the teachers at Bishop Fenwick High School. Y'all rock. Thanks so much. Bye now.